tissue layers of the fundic region, submucosa, normal connective tissue having the basic structural features, blood vessels, lymphatics, and mesenteric plexus. The muscularis or musculosa, thick, composed of 3 layers, external, middle, and internal. The muscularis externa or external represent an inner opaque in arrangement. The middle circular in arrangement, and the outer longitudinal. Thus, composed of thick musculosa having 3 layers, the inner opaque, the middle circular, and the outer longitudinal in arrangement. Serosa consists of surface layer of a flattened mesothelial cells, which is squamous, resting on a thin layer of loose connective tissue. The basic components of any connective tissue, blood vessels and lymphatics or lymph vessels. Cross-section of the fundic region, the lumen, simple glomerular epithelium. These are the glandular cells that is present within the corium or lamina propria, the gastric beds here, all these are gastric beds moving to the external surface. The third layer of the mucosa called muscularis mucosa. Thus, the basic structural feature of fundic region is glandular epithelium that is impregnated or present mostly within the lamina propria or the corium. Cross-section of the fundic region or fundus. The innermost layer, mucosa, thick mucosa. Why? Because the lamina propria is impregnated with a glandular epithelium or unicellular glands. These cells, the red in color, are the prominent ones, which is the axonitic or parietal cells. Muscularis mucosa, normal submucosa, 3 layers of musculosa or muscularis, the inner opaque in arrangement, the middle circular, and the outer longitudinal. The outer thin layer here represents the serosa, which is, as I said in the previous lecture, represent the visceral membrane of the peritoneum, thus called visceral peritoneum, and composed only of simple squamous epithelium. the pylorus or pyloric region of the stomach, having irregular form of folds. The submucosa as well part of the lamina propria, rich with pyloric glands, which is mucus secreting glands, alveolar or acinus in shape, multicellular. Mucosa having pyloric glands in the lamina propria. These pyloric glands, they are multicellular, not unicellular, structurally modified from the columnar cell, the type of epithelium lining the pyloric region, simple columnar epithelium, and impregnated within the lamina propria, secrete mucin or mucus, and deeper gastric pits extending half the thickness of the mucosa. Muscularis thick, inner circular, and the circular smooth muscle that lines the pyloric region is very thick, thus between brackets thickened to form pyloric sphincter. Sphincter like a valve, مثل الصمام. Contraction and relaxation of a smooth muscle at this region, acting as a pushing power for the food from stomach to duodenum, which is the initial part of the small intestine, and outer longitudinal layer. Thus the sphincter, the pyloric sphincter, not the pylorus region, the sphincter internally, composed of circular, smooth muscle, thick layer, inner, and an outer layer arranged longitudinal. Normal submucosa and serosa composed of simple squamous epithelium. Cross-section of pyloric region, regular fold with various depth or dimension, gastric pits, epithelium simple columnar, the corium, and this is the pyloric gland, multicellular, secreted mucin or mucus, mostly present or impregnated within the corium or lamina propria. The same slide, pyloric gland, the pits, the lamina propria, as well the type of epithelium, simple columnar epithelium. Before histological layers or tissue layers of the pyloric region or pylorus, mucosa, thick mucosa, due to the glandular epithelium, These are the pyloric gland, multicellular, acinus in shape or alveolar, secreted mucin, having round to ovoid nucleus, located close to the basal surface. Muscularis mucosa, normal submucosa, muscular layer or musculosa, mainly 3 layers, very close to the pyloric sphincter become 2 layers, and the last or outermost or superficial layer is serosa. This is the junction between the pyloric region and the duodenum. The thickness of muscle here, 3 layers, near or very close to the sphincter, more thickening due to the increase in amount of circular smooth muscle for rapid contraction to push the food from the pylorus region into the duodenum. The basic structural differences between the 3 regions of stomach, cardia, fundus, and body. Here, all the structural modifications are related to fundus because the body, stomach body, having normal tissue layers or histological layers. There is no specialized structures in the body, having normal submucosa, normal muscularis composed of 3 tissue layers, normal serosa, as well normal epithelium, which is simple columnar epithelium. Pylorus region, cardia having cardiac glands, which is, as I said, multicellular acinus gland, secreting mucin. The fundic region contain gastric gland, which is unicellular gland and different types. Parietal, chief, surface, mucus or mucin cells, enteroendocrine cells, etc. Pyloric region contains pyloric gland, multicellular, acinus or alveolar, mucus secreting, located in the lamina propria, mostly. Gastric beds, less, deeper than pyloric glands. Here also gastric beds, less deeper than pyloric glands, while in the pylorus, the gastric beds are more deeper than gastric or cardiac glands. No parietal cells or oxynetic cells in the cardia. Large numbers of parietal cells present in the fundus. Very few are present in the pylorus region, sorry. And toward the last part of the pylorus or pyloric region that having the pyloric sphincter, no parietal or oxynotic cells are present. Gastro or stomach duodenal junction, junctional region or points between the stomach, the last part of the stomach, which is the pyloric or pylorus, and the duodenum. Structural modification occur here. These structural modifications include the type of epithelium, the same in the pylorus and the duodenum, simple columnar epithelium. But the duodenum here is rich with goblet cell that secrete mucin, and the epithelium arranged in a finger-like projections called microvilli or villi. Thus, structural modification occur to the type of epithelium. Submucosa, pyloric region rich with pyloric gland, while the submucosa rich with pulmonary gland or duodenal gland, which is also multicellular acinous gland secreting mucus or mucin. Here, deeply, the muscularis, very close to the pyloric sphincter, as I said, arranged into 2 layers, as well the musculosa here, 2 layers. Beneath, all these are a cluster of duodenal or pulmonary glands, deeply beneath the musculosa. The figure illustrates only the mucosa. Small intestine, the epithelium within the mucosa, arranged in finger-like projection called villus or villi, and each one are composed of microvilli or brush borders to enhance the absorption. Small intestine divided into duodenum, jejunum, ileum, mucosa characteristics, features, placia circularis, villi or microvilli, goblet cells, crypts of Leprechaun or what is called by intestinal gland. Glands are lined by columnar cells, which is simple columnar, goblet cells, as well few of Paneth cells and enteroendocrine cells. Schematic diagram of the mucosa representing the finger-like projection, the villi, villus, having different types of glands, the basic type, the goblet cell, enteroendocrine, and Paneth cell. Normal submucosa having blood vessels, lymphatics, nerves, mesenteric plaques, muscularis externa, outer longitudinal and inner circular of a smooth muscle, mostly have serosa, and in certain regions have adventitia, no simple squamous epithelium. Finger-like projections called the villus or the villi, goblet cells, lamina propria, muscularis mucosa, normal submucosa, two layers of musculosa, the inner circular in arrangement, the outer longitudinal in arrangement, having serosa. Some regions have no simple squamous epithelium, thus called adventitia, related to the position within the peritoneum or peritoneal cavity. The basic structural feature of submucosa, the presence of duodenal glands or pruonal glands. These are pruonal glands presented within the submucosa. As I said, multicellular actinous in shape, secreting mucin, submucosa, and the duodenal or mucus actinous secreting glands. Duodenal mucosa, finger projection called villus or villi, goblet cells, lamina propria, thin layer of muscularis mucosa, jejunum having villi, finger-like projection, but the villi or the villus having a specific shape or form that is similar to tongue, thus called tongue-shaped villus or villi. Submucosa normal connective tissue, no pruonal glands, as well the musculosa. Ileum, presence of lymphoid aggregations in lamina propria known as Bayer patches, as well in submucosa. Cluster or groups of lymphocytes called Bayer patches present within the lamina propria and submucosa, or we can call it lymph nodes. These are the Bayer patches within the submucosa called lymph follicle or lymph nodes in the lamina propria as well in the submucosa here, present mostly within what? The lamina propria. The villi are much shorter, and elongated, thus they are typical finger-like. Large intestine consists of, as you know from anatomy course, appendix, colon, rectum, and the anal canal, mucosa. These information are very important. The structural features: absence of aplasia circularis and villi, presence of microvilli, presence of crypts, as well as the presence of goblet cells in large numbers. Large numbers of goblet cells are impregnated or present within the simple columnar epithelium of the mucosa. Submucosa, normal. Muscularis, the inner circular, much thinner than small intestine. Outer arranged longitudinal. Adventitia. This information is very important, which is the connective tissue. Connective tissue is normal, but rich with a clusters of fat cells. These clusters are called appendices epiploidy. Between brackets, peritoneum forms pouch-like or pocket-like process filled with fats. It means like a sac that filled with adipocytes. These sac or pouch filled with adipocytes form a special structure within the connective tissue called appendices epiploidy, and it's a basic structural feature of the connective tissue or adventitia of large intestine. Not all the parts of large intestine have adventitia. Serosa are present, but as I said, in a small intestine related to the position within the peritoneal cavity. If it is directly linked with the visceral peritoneum, there is serosa. If it is not linked or covered, there is only connective tissue called adventitia. Mucosa or epithelium of large intestine, simple columnar, very large numbers, the blue color, of goblet cell, heavy, impregnated bulk. In addition to enteroendocrine and absorptive cells that reabsorb water and minerals. Finger-like projection, or what is called fold, more correct than villus. But why we called it villus? Because composed of columnar cell that called absorptive cell that reabsorb water and minerals. The apical surface rich with striations called microvilli, and this is the goblet cell. The white color here, the white cell is goblet cell, large numbers located within normal columnar cells. Appendix or vermiform appendix, small blind ending, diverticulum, which is an extension, finger-like projection, outpouch, emerged from the cecum of the large intestine, represent large aggregates or accumulation of lymphoid tissue in the lamina propria. These structures, the blue color, as well submucosa. Intestinal villi are usually absent, no villus. Crypts are poorly formed. Muscularis externi is thin. The musculosa is very thin. Absence of tinea colia, this is not important information in histology related to external anatomical structure. Cross-section of appendix revealed the large aggregates or accumulation of lymphoid tissue or lymphocytes, or what is known by lymph nodes or aggregates within the submucosa and lamina propria. And this is the basic structural feature of appendix. Rectum have intestinal gland, tubular in shape, continuous coat of longitudinal muscle is present, mainly composed of muscles that are arranged in longitudinal pattern. No appendices of epiplosia, which is sac-like or pouch filled with adipocytes. The anal canal, epithelium, the upper part, composed of simple columnar, the middle stratified squamous non-keratinized, and the inferior or lower part covered by through skin, which is keratinized stratified squamous. Mucosa has longitudinal folds. Small mucosal folds related to different forms, just for knowledge. Crypts disappear also for knowledge. Important here, muscularis externi or musculosa tissulaire, circular muscle forms, involuntary, internal anal sphincter. We have two sphincter, internal and external. The internal mainly composed of circular arranged muscles, smooth muscle fiber, and the outer striated skeletal muscle. Ano rectal junction, the junction located between the anal tube and the rectum, or anal canal and the rectum. There is wide range of structural modification. The basic structural feature that you should know is the type of epithelium. Striated squamous epithelium, simple columnar epithelium. As well, skeletal muscles or striated skeletal muscles. Type of epithelium and type of striated skeletal muscles that are located outside, covering the anal canal, are the two basic structural features. Histological slides revealing the basic differences between esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. Esophagus composed of stratified squamous epithelium, thick epithelium, non-keratinized, having esophageal glands within the submucosa. Stomach related to the region. This figure illustrates the fundus or fundic region due to the presence of a glandular epithelium. This is the parietal cell and the chief cell. Small intestine, the basic structural feature of small intestine is the arrangement of epithelium or simple columnar epithelium within the mucosa into pouches or finger-like projections called villus or villi to enhance absorption of food. Large intestine, the basic structural feature is the large number of goblet cells within the simple columnar epithelial cells.